transport is a top priority of transport research. The EU has set a long-term target of a 60% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, a target that research in this area can help to achieve. Over the last funding period, from 2007 to 2013, a total of €4.16 billion was invested in transport research over all areas, resulting in a more than 10% decrease in emissions from transport. In support of this trend, the transport research budget has been increased by 50% under the current funding programme Horizon 2020. The Commission recognises that transport research has an important role to play in driving technological advances, such as fuel-efficient vehicles and alternative fuels, as well as improving safety, integrating intelligent transport systems, advancing logistics and urban mobility, and informing environmental policy. Some 350 projects have been funded by the EU to fulfil this role for all modes of transport. In the area of air transport, for example, the project React4C investigated the potential for optimizing flight routes to reduce their environmental impact. It calculated the effect on climate change of flights of different altitudes of trajectory and under different weather conditions. The project Horizon is a good example of a maritime initiative that has wide-ranging implications. Through simulations, it assesses the impact of sleep deprivation and fatigue on those in charge of watching over ships. Based on the findings of these simulations, the project produced a fatigue management toolkit that includes recommendations and a model for identifying critical fatigue.
We will be able to provide advice to individual seafarers on a topic called sleep hygiene. In other words, how they can prepare themselves well for the watchkeeping duties they have to do to ensure that they get enough sleep and enough quality sleep. The second thing we're able to do is provide guidance for ship operators, shipping companies, regulators on how to manage the whole risk of fatigue.
The EU has also funded research into how to lessen the environmental impact of urban transport systems. The project EcoDriver is one such initiative that is aiming to reduce by 20% CO2 emissions and fuel consumption in road transport.
EcoDriver is a European research project with 12 partners across Europe, and there is 9 test sites with different kind of vehicles, and it is coordinated by the University of Leeds in England. We are encouraging green driving behavior by developing different technologies from embedded system but also nomadic and GPS solutions, and this is adapted to the different kind of vehicles, and one of the specificities of IFSTAR is also the smartphone technology.
Some of the systems we developed already showed promising results, around 20% reduction. Of course, on average, the systems we developed are lower, between 10% and 20% reductions. But even if we reach only 10% reduction, is already a good success.
The project has already received interest in Australia and Canada and is scheduled to give a presentation in the US.
We are trying to set up collaborative projects around fuel savings around the world. Of course, Europe is already very interested in such cheap solutions to reach efficiency, energy efficiency. We received interest from national governments in Europe on how to promote eco-driving through very cheap and easy to use solutions.
Another good example of a project that is aiming to improve the environmental impact of transport in urban areas is 2Move2. The project is providing a networking platform for cities to enable them to better adopt best practices, evaluate impacts, and disseminate results. The city partners, Brno in the Czech Republic, Malaga in Spain, Stuttgart in Germany, and Tel Aviv Yafo in Israel, are benefiting from the exchange of know-how and the implementation of forward-looking transport measures.
Every city has its own measures within the project. We have totally 27 measures, so at the first time every city works on its own measures. But during the year we have a lot of exchange between the cities because we have also overlapping measures. So, and also we meet regularly, we have an annual meeting, and we meet always at the Civitas conference. So twice a year we have meetings where all partners meet.
Cities are collaborating on specific areas, for example, traffic management.
The city of Stuttgart is supporting the city of Tel Aviv-Yafo in the development of their traffic management center. So there has been a very intense exchange between the staff of both traffic management centers, and there has been very important results in order to improve the work of the traffic management center in Tel Aviv-Yafo. At the same time, it's also very useful and important for our work here in Stuttgart because we gain additional knowledge on how to improve our traffic management in the city.
Rail can be an energy-efficient mode of transport, and it is not surprising that many projects have focused on this area. These include Clean ERD, that is focusing on the reduction of CO2 emissions of rail vehicles. Another good example, Shift to Rail, is facilitating the adoption of innovative new technologies by European rail operators. In this way, it is also helping to implement the single European railway area.
It was absolutely important for the next years to have a program which will double capacity, reliability, punctuality, and also which will reduce the life cycle cost by 50%. The difference between Shift to Rail and the other railway project which has been launched in the past is that they will be prototypes, technology demonstrators, and we want to be as close to market as possible. So for the end users, it will be possible for them to see what are the results of the money which will be spent in the next 6 years. For the end users, you have first the passengers who will see differences in what we call the e-ticketing, because there is one innovation program dealing with this kind of problem. But there will be also a lot of innovation for the freight sector, which is absolutely essential for the next 20 years.